You sit down to work. The task is small, simple. It would take 10 minutes. But you don't start. You stare at it. Your body feels heavy. Your mind drifts somewhere else. You check your phone. You tell yourself, I'll do it later. And later never comes. So you call yourself lazy, undisciplined, weak. But what if that isn't true? What if you are not lazy, just emotionally overloaded? Most people think productivity is about effort, but the brain doesn't work on effort alone. It works on safety. When your nervous system feels overwhelmed, it does not push forward, it pulls back. And that pull feels like procrastination. Emotional overload is invisible. It does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like waking up already tired, like small tasks feeling strangely big, like replying to a message feeling heavier than lifting weights. You might not even know what you're carrying. Unprocessed stress, quiet disappointments, conversations you keep replaying, expectations you think you're failing. Each one is small, but together they fill the system. In cognitive psychology, attention is limited. Your brain has a working memory capacity. Think of it like a desk. When the desk is clear, you can work easily. But when it is cluttered with open emotional tabs, there is no space left for focus. So when you try to start something new, your brain resists, not because you are incapable, but because the desk is already full. Neuroscience shows that when stress increases, the amygdala becomes more active. The amygdala is your threat detector. It scans for danger, and danger does not have to be physical. A deadline can feel like danger. A possibility of failure can feel like danger. Even the thought of not doing something perfectly can activate that system. When the amygdala is loud, the prefrontal cortex becomes quieter. That is the part of your brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and starting tasks. So you sit there knowing what you should do, but unable to move. It feels like laziness, but it is actually protection. Your brain is trying to conserve energy because it thinks you are under threat. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones. Each stone represents an unfinished emotional experience. You may not notice the weight at first, but when you try to climb a hill, it suddenly feels impossible. The hill is not the problem, the weight is. Most productivity advice tells you to climb harder, to push, to force discipline. But if the backpack is heavy, pushing only makes you more exhausted. What you need is not more force, you need to remove stones. Emotional overload often comes from avoidance, avoided conversations, avoided feelings, avoided rest. Suppression takes energy. Studies in emotional regulation show that when you constantly suppress feelings, cognitive resources decrease. That means less energy for action. Your system is busy holding things down. That holding down feels like fatigue. So the first shift is this: stop calling yourself lazy. Laziness implies lack of care, but you care deeply. That is why things feel heavy. You are not disengaged, you are overwhelmed. The second shift is to name what you are carrying. Labeling emotions reduces amygdala activity. When you say, I feel anxious, or I feel disappointed, you activate the prefrontal cortex again. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The shapes stop feeling like monsters, they become objects. The third shift is to shrink the task. When overwhelmed, your brain exaggerates effort cost. A small task looks huge, so make it smaller than your resistance. Not finish the report, just open the document. Not clean the room, just pick up one shirt. Small action signals safety. Safety quiets the threat response. The fourth shift is to allow real rest. Not scrolling, not distraction, actual nervous system rest. Slow breathing, sitting without input. When your system feels safe, dopamine pathways re-engage, motivation returns naturally. It was never gone, it was paused. Finally, close open emotional loops. Write the message you're avoiding, even if you don't send it. Journal the thought that keeps replaying. Make a tiny plan for the decision you've postponed. Every closed loop removes a stone from the backpack. Here is the simple mental model. Your brain is not a machine. It is a protection system. When it senses overload, it slows you down. Slowing down is not failure. It is feedback. Instead of asking, "Why am I so lazy?" ask, "What am I carrying?" That question changes everything, because once you see the weight, you stop attacking yourself. You start adjusting the load. And something subtle happens. When the load becomes lighter, movement returns. Not forced, not dramatic, just natural. You sit down again. The task is still there, but this time it does not feel like a mountain. It feels like a step, and you take it. Not because you finally became disciplined, but because your system feels safe enough to move. So if you feel stuck lately, pause before judging yourself. Look inward gently. There may be invisible weight on your shoulders. You are not lazy. You are protecting yourself the only way your nervous system knows. And protection can be softened. One emotion named, one small action taken, one stone put down. Slowly, the backpack becomes lighter, and when it does, you will realize you were never broken. You were overloaded.